Hello and welcome to this episode of the Mid-South AgCast. I'm Elizabeth Pafford. On today's episode, we'll take a look at some of the advancements in technology occurring in the field of agriculture. One way to get out and see what's going on in today's agriculture world is to attend trade shows like the Farm Machinery Show held in Louisville, Kentucky, or the Mid-South Farm and Gin Show in Memphis, Tennessee. Both of these conventions were held about a month ago, and the Mid-South AgCast team was there to check out the latest innovations.
Green, red, and even blue tractors line the walls of the Kentucky Expo Center for the 47th Annual National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky. It's the largest farm machinery show of its kind. There are hundreds of vendors scattered throughout the Expo Center for the 4-day event. During the event, agricultural producers learn about the newest advancements in agricultural technology. Ag companies from across the U.S. and around the world come to discuss their latest products.
My name is Mike Olson. I'm with Ag Leader Technology here at the Louisville Farm Show. I've been coming to this farm show for approximately 15 years now, and it's a fantastic farm show, and I would say this year's probably been the busiest show that I remember in recent history, so we're very excited. Ag Leader is a precision ag company, and we provide products to farmers and retailers and fertilizer applicators and that kind of stuff, and our entire goal of precision farming is to make the farmer more efficient.
Case IH has been a part of the National Farm Machinery Show really since the beginning, and you can even look back at it to our origins from International Harvester. International Harvester had a plant here for a number of years in the Louisville area, and it's so really the machinery show has been an important part of Case IH. We've got equipment here that we've brought in from all over North America. We've got from our small utility vehicles, our Case IH Scout, all the way up to our 600 horsepower Steiger quad track with 670 peak horsepower.
Our company is Harper Industries. We are out of Harper, Kansas. Our main product is the Dewey's bale bed, which is right behind me. It is used to feed cattle from the warmth and comfort of your truck. We've been making this product since the mid-70s, and it's been a tremendous product in many areas of the United States, from Oklahoma and Kansas all the way out to the East Coast in Virginia.
Also, each night the machinery show hosts a championship tractor pull that is sponsored by Syngenta. These tractors are among an elite group that has been eligible to pull at the championship pull. For those interested in agricultural equipment and technology, the Farm Machinery Show is the place to gain valuable knowledge. For the Mid-South AgCast, this is Jody Springer.
I'm Chris Martin reporting from the 60th Annual Farm and Gin Show held each year here in Memphis, Tennessee. The Mid-South AgCast caught up with Gene Getty of John Deere Company to talk about the latest in cotton harvesting technology.
A lot of new technology in this machine right here. We have the armrest display unit, or the ADU. Shows you everything that's going on with the machine, complete machine configuration here. The corner post display unit shows a lot of the harvesting information, as well as a lot of the engine information. So you have that all at your disposal. Up top here, we have a 2630 Green Star display. That'll show you all your harvesting information, show how efficiently the machine is running. And then up in the left-hand corner, we actually have a TV screen that'll show you 3 different cameras that are positioned throughout the machine. So have a lot of new technology in this machine. Great for harvesting, great to show farmers how efficient this machine can run.
In today's electronic world, an atlas is rarely used anymore. Instead, more and more people are relying on GPS systems like a TomTom or Garmin to get them from place to place. One software package in particular is used as the basis for all global positioning systems. At the University of Tennessee at Martin, students studying agriculture engineering technology are learning how to use sophisticated programs in GPS and agriculture. Dr. Sandy Melhorn, Agriculture Engineering Technology Professor, explains how ArcGIS software is used.
It's important for students to learn industry-wide software on using GIS because it is the basis for precision agriculture. Just like the GPS units used in your car, those are just nothing but a giant GIS database. So they just gather all the information, put it together, and then based on your location using GPS, they can tell you what street you're on, what restaurant you're near, or how far it is to the closest rest area or whatever on the interstate. So we teach students these principles and how to use the ArcGIS software so that they can know how to put data in for farming. It's the same principle in the tractor. Wherever they are in the field, they can take yield data, they can take fertilizer data, all these things, and we can put them into maps. And that way the next year they can plan for how much they need to plant, how much they need to fertilize, how much yield they can expect, because they're pricing all of their crops based on that. So this software that we teach them is ArcGIS, made by Esri in California, and it is the industry standard, I would say, right now for ArcGIS.
Recently at the University of Tennessee at Martin Agriculture Awareness Day, reporter Chris Martin caught up with Parks Wells, the executive director of the Tennessee Soybean Promotions Board. Chris?
Good afternoon. We're here at the UTM Agriculture Awareness Day with Mr. Parks Wells of the Tennessee Soybean Promotions Board. How you doing, Mr. Wells?
I'm doing fine, thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Well, excellent. Can you tell us a little bit about the board and what your role is there?
Well, I'm the executive director, and I work for basically 9 producers across the state who are soybean producers, and we handle the research and promotion of the soybean checkoff, which is nationwide, and I handle the stuff that's done in Tennessee.
Excellent. So you talked about research. What are some of the things that the council or the board is actually doing in regard to research?
Well, we work on things like soybean nematode, and the nematodes is small, it's not an insect, but it's a small mite that attacks the roots of the soybean, and we work on things to work against that. We cover all the soybean diseases. We look at soybean rust and try to prevent that, or what to do when it does hit with us. Research on that end. We even look at the amount of water that goes into irrigation. We have a lot of people irrigate, but to properly irrigate, you have to really put the water out at a specified rate at specified times. So there's a lot of things that go in there that we kind of normally do, but we could do better from the research we've got from the University of Tennessee.
I see. And I'm sure that most viewers agree with me when I say that a lot of us are tired of gas prices and things of that nature. And I understand that the board has some role in actual biofuel production. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Right. We've been involved with biodiesel since inception around 1992. And as the background here shows, this biodiesel is America's first advanced biofuel. In fact, it's the only advanced biofuel that we have on the market right now. Biofuel reduces the price through soy biodiesel has reduced the price about 30 cents a gallon on diesel fuel. And so just adding the extra fuel, an alternative fuel instead of petroleum base, which we're importing anywhere from 50 to 60%, has really down the price. And not only do we have a system that'll lower the price, but we've got a product that is biodegradable, and it's non-toxic, and it's much better for your health.
I see. So what would you say some of the, you already said a lot of the positives about biofuels. What are some of the positives and negatives about biodiesel?
Well, if we look at the biggest positive, it's probably the energy balance. And soybeans or biodiesel from soy, it takes one energy unit will increase the energy output by 5 times. So you got 1 energy unit going in and 5 coming out. That's really significant. The relationship between petroleum, crude oil, and gasoline and diesel is really less than 1. So 1 to 1 versus 1 to 5. So that's good. The problems we've had in biodiesel is we've had a tax incentive, and that's gone away this past year, and that's going to reduce the production of soy by some. The other good thing is that it's part of the renewable fuel standard too, and that's going to help the production in. But we need some government help along the way as we build the infrastructure, and we've had a long time to build petroleum infrastructure. We've had a long time to build the ethanol infrastructure, but less than 10 years basically on the soy. It just hadn't gotten it there yet. So that's the only downside to it. Also, as each year has gone along, we've improved the quality of the fuel, and the engines have changed every year. And every time we have an engine change, we have to turn around and change our fuel just a bit to match that engine. So we've had a lot of research that's gone into that.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process of turning soybeans into biodiesel?
Well, a soybean is made up about 48%, 48 pounds in a bushel goes into the soybean meal side. Then we have 11 pounds that go into soy oil. We can take that soy oil and from a bushel, and we can get about 1.5 gallons of biodiesel from it. Basically, we take the oil, we add an alcohol to it, and the catalyst, and that converts over and becomes a soy methyl ester. So we have an alcohol process.
Excellent. And if somebody wanted to know more about soybeans and all the great things they can do, where would you tell them to go?
Well, they can go to our website, which is tnsoybeans.com, or .org rather, or they can go to the American Soybean Association or the National Biodiesel Board or the United Soybean Board. Anytime you Google soybeans, there's a lot of information in there.
Thank you, Mr. Wells, and we appreciate you allowing us to interview you this afternoon. This has been Chris Martin with the Mid-South AgCast.
When we return on the Mid-South AgCast, we'll discuss one of today's fastest growing agriculture industries known as biofuels.
Severe weather can destroy a home in seconds. There's no time to think, only time to act. Have a kit so you're ready for any emergency. Develop a plan for what you and your family will do before disaster strikes. And stay informed during severe weather any way you can. It can be the difference between losing your possessions and losing your life. Just ask the owners of this house. Visit weather.com/ready and let the Weather Channel help you prepare your family for emergencies.
Morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did. Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
Welcome back to the Mid-South AgCast. With us in the studio today is Dr. Tim Burcham, Interim Chair of the Department of Agriculture, Geosciences, and Natural Resources at the University of Tennessee at Martin. Dr. Burcham, welcome to the show. To begin, tell us about how you got involved with research of biofuels and educating students here at UT Martin.
Well, Elizabeth, first of all, thank you for allowing me to visit with the Mid-South AgCast. I'm delighted with the opportunities that the show is providing our students. I want to say that right off the bat. But of course, my background, my training is in agricultural engineering, and so I've always had a fascination with cars and tractors and these kinds of things. And of course, as we've went into the recent recession, and as gasoline prices and fuel prices have skyrocketed, and compared to what they were a few years ago, many people have been looking at alternatives with regard to their automobiles, trucks, farm vehicles, and these kinds of things. And it really just started me into a pursuit of finding out more about how biofuels could be used to help us meet the demands and needs of our country. We use about 140 billion gallons of gasoline per year in the United States of America, and around 40 billion gallons of diesel fuel in the United States of America. So we consume large quantities of these liquid transportation fuels, so it was something that I really got interested in.
So why is it important to study the production of the biofuels and the alternative energy sources?
Well, when we look at our country today, of course, I've quoted those numbers for you about the amount of liquid transportation fuels that we use. And of course, we import quite a bit of the energy from other countries. A lot of that actually comes from Canada. That's actually our #1 import country. It's not the Middle East, as some believe, but Canada's our #1 country where we import hydrocarbons, in this case oil and these kinds of things. But as we look at the future of our country, we need to move toward, more carbon neutral fuels, for example, and those that are sustainable in the long run. When we look at oil, coal, all of those are actually finite resources. The date that they might expire, of course, may be hundreds of years in the future, but fundamentally they're still finite. So when we look at our keeping our country strong and our nation strong, the ability for us to harvest the sun's energy, and that's really what we're doing with regard to biofuels, is so critical for us. And it also is critical for us with regard to agriculture, because it directly impacts us, particularly in the ethanol area as well as in the biodiesel area, because we predominantly use soybeans for that area as well. When you look at our department right now, Elizabeth, we've got the Biofuels lab up there, and we're able to teach the production of ethanol there for our students and also biodiesel. We also train our governor's school students that come. We've had the Tennessee Governor's School for the Agricultural Sciences since 2004, and we've been doing ethanol and biodiesel training for all of those high school students, giving them something that hopefully they'll take back and energize their classes back in their high schools with regard to biofuels. We've also developed a biofuels option in the agricultural science concentration in the department. So for a student, once they come to the University of Tennessee at Martin, we actually have a curriculum that's laid out specifically to help them be better prepared for a career in biofuels.
Great. How prevalent are biofuels in everyday life today? You know, you hear about them, but you don't have much information on them.
Right. Well, every time we pull up to the gas pump today, you'll notice a little sticker on there, and what it says is this fuel may contain up to 10% of ethanol. And actually, they have passed a law that would allow them to go to 15%, but there's some peculiarities with regard to how old your car can be to safely burn a 15% blend. But when we pull up to a regular gasoline pump today, you're looking at a 10%, up to 10% of that will be ethanol. If you have a flex fuel vehicle, and it will have a badge on it that indicates that it's a flex fuel vehicle, then that vehicle can actually operate on up to 85% ethanol. And you'll find those pumps at various places along the I-40 corridor, and so cars and trucks that are able to use that, you can actually run up to 85% ethanol. Now on the diesel side, if you pull up to a pump and you see a sticker that says B5 or may even say B20, what that means is that 5%, if it's a B5 sticker, that means that 5% of that fuel is biodiesel. A B20 sticker would indicate that 20% of that fuel is biodiesel. And most engine manufacturers now have warranted their engines up to a B20 mix of biodiesel with regular petroleum-based diesel.
Will the usage of the corn as the primary feedstock for the ethanol continue to increase indefinitely, or what are we looking at there?
Well, with regard to corn, and corn is king right now. I mean, it's probably still 90% of our ethanol is coming from corn. If we were to look at Brazil, for example, the majority of their ethanol, and they've moved to a largely ethanol-based liquid transportation fuel basis, theirs comes from sugarcane. They have a large sugarcane production capacity. United States, of course, we have large corn production capacity. So the majority of ours is coming from corn today. When you look at the Renewable Fuel Standard 2 Act, basically that calls for us to produce 36 billion gallons of biofuels by 2022. Wow. When you look at the specifics of that law, though, it says that only 15 billion of those can come from what we would call standard ethanol production facilities, and so that would include most corn-based ethanol plants. The remaining portion of that would have to come from what we would call advanced biofuels, and that's where we would get into cellulosic ethanol production versus our corn-based ethanol production. And the primary benefit for this, a lot of folks say, well, what's the difference between, you know, the way we're doing it now with corn versus cellulosic ethanol? And the big differential there is the amount of yield that we can get per unit input of energy. We've continued to improve our corn-based ethanol to the point that some of the facilities actually do meet the new advanced biofuels standard. But when we move up to cellulosic ethanol, we may be looking at 6 to 10 times as much ethanol or energy output versus the amount of energy we input into that crop. So it holds great promise for us into the future. So when we look at that overall portfolio, basically standard corn-based ethanol will be capped at about 15 billion gallons per year, with the remaining 36 billion in the advanced biofuels area.
Wow. What is the promise of this cellulosic ethanol? So why is it so appealing when corn-based ethanol is supplying our needs right now?
Well, and corn-based ethanol is doing a great job supplying our needs right now, and we are producing, you know, around 12 billion gallons a year right now. So we're very close to that 15 billion target right now with the processes that are going on. And I want to point out that the ethanol production facilities throughout the United States have continued to improve the efficiency of their processes. But again, that cellulosic-based ethanol can produce 6 to 10 times as much fuel or energy output versus energy input. And so that holds great promise for us. The key thing right now, and where most of the research that's going on, and that research is going on throughout the country, is the cost aspects of that, because it requires specific enzymes to break down the cellulosic material. Once we break that down into the sugars, the same distillation process occurs. There's no difference. But the front end of that processing facility to take cellulosic material, whether it be corn stover or tree waste, yard waste, all of these materials can be potentially used to make cellulosic ethanol. The key is the cost to move that material through the system to get it to a point where it's cost competitive with, for example, corn-based ethanol or actually petroleum fuels, which we're getting much, much closer right now to having the potential to be very competitive with petroleum-based liquid transportation fuels.
Right. What would you tell a high school student or anyone else who would like to pursue a career in the biofuels industry? You know, what are some things that they need to look into when they get ready to go to college and different things?
Well, I would tell them, first of all, that I think there's great opportunity for students that would want to look at the biofuels industry. There's, I was reading some materials, there's approximately 400,000 people employed in that biofuels industry today.
Wow.
And so it's a large number. And as we continue to go from our current, I told you we're at about 12 billion gallons approximately right now on our corn-based ethanol, with a goal of going to 36 billion gallons between corn and these advanced biofuels such as cellulosic ethanol. As we move to that 36 billion gallons, somebody has got to be in charge of doing that and making those technological gains, production, harvesting of the biomass. Keep in mind that we harvest the corn and these kinds of things with our current corn-based system, but understand that in the future the cellulosic side of things really does bring in a whole new paradigm with regard to harvesting and moving these tree waste, corn fodder, whatever it might be, from the field to the processing centers. And so tremendous opportunities there for students and those that would gain an education that have some specificity in the biofuels area. The other area that I would say that they really need to concentrate on is the STEM area, and that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We really, in that area, we need students that are really good at and enjoy science, technology, engineering, mathematics subject areas. And I would encourage them in their high school, junior high, wherever they are in their educational program right now, to embrace all of those things in their high school so that they're very well prepared when they get to UT Martin or other colleges of their choice.
Right. Now, other than students and getting ready to go to college, where can someone find information on biofuels if they just wanted to do research on it themselves?
Well, Elizabeth, you can Google biofuels and you're going to get you'll get page after page of different sites. But one of my favorites is actually the United States Department of Agriculture's National Agricultural Library. In fact, if you Google biofuels and USDA, it'll be the very first thing that pops up on your list. Okay. That website is www.nal.usda.gov. The key thing there is that they will present you with unbiased information regarding all types of biofuels, whether it's corn-based biofuels or cellulosic ethanol. And of course there are many other sites that you can look at, but I find that one gives you a great launching point. And I was taking a look at it just yesterday, and I think that a person, if they wanted to become absorbed in that particular website, they would be reading there for many, many days.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Birch. Can LED lighting help producers grow plants cheaper, faster, and with less energy? Stay tuned to the Mid-South AgCast and you can find out.
2 outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes up with that, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers. First pitch is fouled between back.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
My dad's one of the producers. He's there tonight.
Bring this one.
Welcome back to the Mid-South AgCast. I'm Elizabeth Pafford. The technology was first developed by NASA for the purpose of growing plants in space and potentially on other planets. Now UT Ag researchers are taking it one step further to see if LED lighting can use these energy-efficient bulbs here on Earth. UT Institute of Agriculture's Chuck Denny reports.
There's nothing wrong with your high-def TV. These kale plants are growing and glowing under a purple-red light. This looks like a horticultural disco, but actually these are LEDs, or light-emitting diodes. UT Ag researcher Dr. Dean Kopsel studies how to control the wavelengths of different colors and light intensity of LEDs. These plants have been growing the same amount of time, the one in his right hand under LEDs and the one in his left with regular lighting. Note the difference in height.
What the LEDs do is that you're only giving it the wavelength that it needs, and you're not getting any heat along with that like you would from an incandescent bulb, so it makes it very efficient.
Kopsel believes LED lighting can help producers grow plants cheaper, faster, and with less energy. He also studies how plants grown with LED lighting might be more nutritious.
And since plant pigments absorb light, if we can control the light that they're absorbing, then what are we actually going to do to the nutritional value of that crop? And so far the results have shown that with the LED lighting technology, I can really increase some of those important pigments in there.
Bright sunshine makes things grow, right? Well, actually, plants only use a small percentage of the sun's rays. LED lighting has all the benefits of the sun, but nothing's wasted, and it's not nearly as hot or intense. UT Ag researchers are also using this high-tech equipment to study how LED light can detect damage to plants and if that plant can recover. These images show that a wounded plant doesn't absorb light very well. UT experts say LED lighting can be a supplement to greenhouse operations.
LEDs run about 50% more efficient on the electric bills for the same amount of light output.
Plant scientist Dr. Carl Sam says the LED technology is a little expensive now, but becoming cheaper all the time. And greenhouse operators will eventually save money by using less energy.
If you can reduce that electrical cost by half or more, then that's going to make a major impact, and it may mean the difference between whether you can afford the lights or not afford the lights.
We will all be using more LED light bulbs in the future. In terms of energy saved, there's no comparison to traditional lighting. And when it comes to growing plants indoors, we can mimic the sun, and it won't cost us much. This is Chuck Denny reporting.
That wraps up this edition of the Mid-South AgCast. Join us next time when we look at agronomy and agriculture business. Thanks for watching, and we hope you'll join us again for our next program.